Welcome to this week's real estate deal breakdown. Today, I'm going to talk to you about a long-term follow-up deal that ended up closing in Delaware. That was a big fat deal. So if you get value from this and you're watching, do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on audio, if you can share this audio with somebody else who you think would benefit from it, it would really mean a lot to me. That's how we continue to grow the content. So this is how we found the lead. We did a direct mail campaign. I believe it was an inherited property list or a probate list or a pre-probate list, something like that, a niche mail campaign. And we got the lead right away. It seemed pretty good. The guy had a bunch of taxes he owed on the property and he needed to get rid of it. The issue here was that his nephew was living in the property. He wasn't paying a lot of money in rent. He was kind of letting him just kind of skate by, but he couldn't make a decision on the spot. He was not selling today, but he was selling tomorrow. And you'll notice in this business, when you do enough deals and you do enough volume, most sellers aren't selling today, AKA the second they call in, they're not signing contracts with you. They're going to sell tomorrow. Not literally tomorrow. Maybe sometimes that happens, but a lot of deals are off of the follow-up. Like I think there's a sales statistic where like most sales happen after the 7th contact or whatever the case might be. So you got to understand this is a follow-up game and you need to have an ability to identify the leads that are actually hot and follow up with those ones and then ignore all the other ones that are going to be a waste of time. And that is definitely a skill that takes some time to learn, but when you have experience, it obviously helps. So anyway, we stayed in touch with this guy, got the property under contract, and we decided at that point, we were like, well, by the time we close on this and get the guy out and maybe pay him to leave, and then he maybe bangs a property up, we're like, is this really worth doing a house flip on? And we decided probably not, just because we looked at the profit we could make assigning it, doing a wholesale deal versus the profit we would make maybe just cleaning it out and listing it. And it wasn't that big of a difference because if you assign something, you really don't have any cost of money. It's just, the spread between what someone's willing to pay for it and what you got it from the owner for. So we put it out to the buyer's list. We got a great list out there in Delaware, and immediately I had somebody reach out to me. His name is Josh. He's a great buyer. If you're watching this, Josh, you're the man. And he said, hey, man, I want to buy this property, and I want to do whatever it takes to get it. And I understand you emailed this to probably 500 people, and I need to figure out a way to get this property. And I said, Josh, if you can give me the price that I want and put that deposit into escrow, it's yours. I'm not going to do a bidding war. I'm not going to do an auction system. If you can give me this number and understand that you're going to go into these terms, i.e. buying it with a tenant inside, you will be able to buy this property, and we will get you into escrow right now. And we'll get the deal closed, and it'll be a win-win for all of us. So he said, okay, give me about 20 minutes. And he called us back. He said, hey, we'll do it. That works for me. We're going to take it with a tenant, no problem. And he said, hey, because you're a cool guy, Greg, I'll actually give you an extra, I think it was $1,000. And we used that money to go buy Mariners tickets and go out to a steak dinner. So he basically paid us a little bit more than what we wanted indirectly, which was a cool, good look. And that's smart on his end because now he's the kind of guy I would call directly before he even emails something out because he's a good buyer and he knows the game. So anyways, we assigned it over to him. It closed in 2.5 weeks. There was no title issues. There was no drama. He was a stand-up first-class buyer, and that's the kind of guys and girls that you want to work with if you're wholesaling. So at the end of the day, when it closed, we got $25,000 on an assignment fee. And it was awesome because we were able to turn literally a piece of paper we had to buy a piece of real estate into $25,000. And we were able to use that to continue to grow our business and take home profit for ourselves and our families. And it was awesome. Anytime you can create money out of thin air by doing a wholesale deal, it's great, right? Obviously, there's a cost to getting these deals. They're not free. Sometimes they're not cheap, depending on what you're doing for marketing. But when you can ultimately spend money on marketing to acquire a contract and then sell your contract for a profit, it's pretty freaking cool because literally got $12,500 and didn't have to leave the comfort of my own home. And that's lovely, right? Does that happen every deal? No. But does it happen most deals? Yes, because this is a 90% virtual business we have at Velocity House Buyers. So that's the property. That's the deal. Those are the details. We came from direct mail, inherited property list. What are some lessons that you can learn from this deal that you can apply in your business so you can have deals like this close for yourself? Now, number one lesson, this is pretty obvious, and I already mentioned it. Most deals don't happen on the first contact, right? If we were to write this guy off and say, he's never selling his house, we would have never made our 25 grand. We knew this guy had a problem and he wasn't ready to solve it now, but we want to be there when he's ready to solve it so we can buy his house and get him the money that he wants and flip the deal to another buyer and make some money ourselves. So we followed up with this guy, and most sales happen on the follow-up, right? Most real estate deals happen on the follow-up. So you need to have a good system to follow up with your sellers and your buyers or else you're not going to have much success in the wholesaling niche of real estate. Lesson number 2, and I've made this lesson before, but as you probably know if you watch my stuff, I have a lot of the same lessons because there's not that much, new things in this business. A lot of them are timeless principles, just recycled, rinsed, and repeated. And lesson number 2 here is you need to have good buyers who are going to actually perform. You don't want to sell properties to random flaky buyers that don't know what they're doing. Can you make more money sometimes doing that? Maybe. But dealing with them is a disaster. Usually they're brand new people. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to get hard money. They're just complete debacles. So you want to find buyers like Josh who actually know what they're doing, who are reliable, trustworthy, credible people who you can sell to so you don't have to worry about getting the deal to the finish line because the buyer's a good buyer. So you got to have good buyers. The third lesson here is that you need to understand, and this is counterintuitive. People are like, go national, go all over the place. It's the same thing. In my opinion, I think picking 1 to 3 areas and really mastering those areas is the best way to have success in the real estate business. Can you run a nationwide wholesaling company? Yes, you can. Is that a little bit more complex than doing a local model? Yes, it is. You have different problems. You have some draws, some benefits, and some drawbacks. In our business, we focus on 1 to 3 areas: New York, Seattle, Delaware. The reasons we market there and do deals there are logical. I'm from New York. Brett's from New York. We have really good connections in New York. I live in Washington, and Brett lives in Delaware. So all 3 areas make complete logical sense on why we invest in those 3 areas. And I like being able to operate in 3 areas because sometimes one area balances out the other one, etc. So that's the property on North Meadow Drive in Townsend, Delaware. If you got value from this, do me a favor, like the video, subscribe. If you are in Delaware, like maybe Townsend, Delaware, or you're in Washington State, or you are in the Hudson Valley, and you have a deal you want to wholesale to me or wholesale with me, send me an email, greg@velocityhousebuyers.com, or DM me on Instagram @grego37, and I'll see you on the next REI Deal Breakdown. Take care.